Hello, Milwaukee Bucks fans. Welcome back to Bucks Latest, presented by FanArch. I'm your host, Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, turning on those post notifications to stay up to date and in the know with all the latest Milwaukee Bucks updates. All right, round one of the 2025 NBA Draft capped off, and thankfully, for my last video, none of my picks from my predictions of who would go at what pick or what positions of need that the Bucks had with regard to their guards, forwards, and centers. I don't believe any of my picks got taken in the first round, so they're all available in the second for the Bucks to take with the number 47 overall pick. But we're not going to be talking about specific draft picks for these first couple of segments. This first segment actually is going to be dedicated to a potential trade that the Milwaukee Bucks can make based on a result from the draft, a result from other trades that happened on draft night, a certain pick that occurred, and the player that went to a new team now because of a pick that they acquired from another team via trade. And of course, that would be the Phoenix Suns acquiring the number 10 overall pick from the Houston Rockets, and they in turn land Kaman Malawach from Duke. He now goes to the Phoenix Suns to be one of their new up-and-coming bigs at 7'2". They desperately needed center play, and also in a stunning turn of events, they also traded for the Charlotte Hornets' Mark Williams. So now they have two hulking centers, guys that are 7'1", 7'2", athletic, that have all the potential in the world. Of course, we've seen what Mark Williams can do this past season, averaged like 15 and 10. Of course, was the Lakers' top trade target. Now he heads to Phoenix to join Malawach to form a tantalizing center duo. But now this involves the Bucks because Nick Richards of the Phoenix Suns has now kind of become the odd man out, and Fansided's Dalton Sell actually wrote an article saying that Nick Richards could be a possible trade target for the Bucks if he becomes available, if the Phoenix Suns start to shop him after they land both Malawach and Mark Williams. So his salary, I believe Dalton Sell said that he was an even $5 million in salary, and the Bucks could scrounge together some stuff to make a move possible, and bringing in a Nick Richards to possibly act as a Brook Lopez replacement. Sure, he doesn't have the shooting touch of a guy like Brook Lopez, but he's still an extremely solid player that honestly I could see impacting winning. It's kind of funny now that Nick Richards got traded from the Hornets to the Suns to help with their center depth and just center issues in general, and then now they trade for the better of the two players when they were on the Hornets, Mark Williams, to go to Phoenix to help, and now Nick Richards could be out the door because of Malawach. So Nick Richards definitely a name to monitor for the Milwaukee Bucks. Just a very, very solid big man that can do everything you need him to. Great screen setter and roller, great rebounder. He's just a menace at the basket, and that's of course where all of his action comes from. So Nick Richards could definitely be a name to watch, and it's a move that. It may be the first time in a little while where I've said this, but it's a move that they could realistically pull off to add some good center depth. He's still very young, so it remains to be seen, but Nick Richards definitely a name to watch. Anyways, the Jrue Holiday trade that, of course, partially led to the Bucks winning the 2021 title. Another wrinkle got added to it during the 2025 NBA draft because Nolan Traore went to the Pelicans, and it just added another detail because, of course, the Bucks had to give up their first-round selection in the draft to New Orleans, and the Bucks haven't had any postseason success, of course, after Holiday's departure, but the 2021 championship, of course, makes up for it. It just stinks that so much future draft capital had to be tied into it when, even though you did get that one season where you hoisted the Larry O.B., picks like the 2025 first rounder, which could have been Nolan Traore, who I've had a little bit of hope for going into this draft process, and I thought he could be very successful at the next level. It stinks to see him go to another franchise when now the Bucks are kind of toiling a little bit, as they have been for the past few years, because they only have one playoff series victory since the 2021 title. So definitely could be using some of those prospects, that draft capital, right at this moment. But of course, in the moment, trading for a guy like Jrue Holiday, you would do it 10 times out of 10, especially knowing the outcome that it led to. And anyways, speaking of trades, SB Nation's Van Fayez wrote an article detailing the Bucks' possible moves. with the number 47 overall pick. And again, remains to be seen whether they decide to trade up or down. They could trade up for a guy like Kobe Bryant, who I covered in the previous video as one of their top targets potentially at the guard spot, because he's just flat out the best shooter in this draft. He was mocked to go anywhere between 31 to about like 37, 38, I feel like, in most mock drafts, and it remains unlikely that he would fall to Milwaukee. But if they wanted to go and get him, they could rather easily trade up for, let's say, the 36th or the 37th overall pick and maybe hope that he falls to that area. They could trade up for a guy like Kobe Bryant. They could maybe stay in the same spot, maybe move up to around the 42 to 43 range, hope for a guy like Ryan Nembhard, who was my other pick, sort of my other prediction for who they would go for if there were guards available. Just a great two-way talent, super composed, great playmaker, just an all-around great talent, has a lot of scoring touch, can get to a shot in the mid-range. Just overall, just an incredibly skilled and crafty player that, he shouldn't be around the 40th pick in the draft or the 43rd pick in the draft, but if the Bucks could make a move up to potentially grab a guy like Ryan Nembhard, I certainly wouldn't be upset. He's obviously one of my favorite players in this draft, regardless of where he goes. I'm excited to watch his development, especially just because I'm very curious about him being 6 feet tall, but still maintaining a lot of the same skills. He's just a very similar player to his brother, where he is a great scorer off the dribble. He has a lot of playmaking skills, of course, an active defender, active hands, active feet, just very quick and agile. Ryan Nembhard's definitely going to be an interesting prospect, but, they could stay in the same spot and hope that he somehow slips a little bit further than anticipated. I feel like he was mocked as well around maybe 40 to 44 in most mock drafts. So if he were to fall to that 47 spot, I definitely wouldn't be upset. But anyways, we are going to get into my final prediction as round 2 of the 2025 NBA draft gets underway today. There's going to be a lot of choices. Again, a lot of the guys that I picked for the Bucks to watch, to monitor closely, two guys from the guards, forwards, and centers. I believe they all fell to the second round, so it's not like any of these guys shot up or anything. So the guy that I want the Milwaukee Bucks to select with the number 47 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, if they don't trade the pick, if they don't move up, if they don't move down, or just out of the draft in general, I still want them to take Villanova's Eric Dixon. I'm sticking with my prediction from the first video that I did yesterday, and to me, he would just still be, again, most likely the best player available, the leading scorer in the nation, 6'8", 265, just has all the potential in the world because he's coming in with such an NBA-ready body and his physicality, his agility, his leaping ability. There's nothing really like him in the draft. And I said this in the previous video, but we've seen guys with these physical attributes, namely LeBron James. If Eric Dixon can be 25% of what he is with that kind of body, with that kind of skill set, and the fact that he was a 40% three-point shooter in this previous season before entering the NBA possibly, it seems like the sky is the limit for a guy like Eric Dixon, and I would certainly like him to be a part of the Milwaukee Bucks to add another desperately needed wing. Again, just both a bowling ball going to the basket, a great screen setter, a great roller. He carves out space for himself in the paint. He's great at boxing out, but he also has these perimeter-oriented skills that you would see in a guy maybe 4 inches shorter and about 80 pounds lighter. So Eric Dixon definitely has all the potential in the world. Would love to see him become a part of the Bucks with the 47th overall pick, and that's who I have the Bucks selecting. But yeah, that'll be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching Bucks Latest presented by FanArch. I have been your host, Dean Simon. Again, please consider liking, subscribing, turning on those post notifications to stay up to date and in the know with all the latest Milwaukee Bucks updates. Thank you very much for watching, and go Bucks.